Good news for senior lawyers and legal academics and professors. Chief Justice Raymond Zondo says they'll now be considered for appointment directly to the Constitutional Court. Zondo says that while the Constitution does not preclude non-judges from being appointed, it has been standard practice over the years that only senior judges are appointed to the Court. He's joining us now via Zoom just to unpack this announcement a little bit further and other matters. Chief Justice, welcome again to today here on ENCA. Thank you very much for your patience as we tried to reconnect with you. I'm hoping you are not muted so we can hear you. There you are. Now, what has led to you making this recommendation for non-judges to be considered for appointment directly to the Court?
What has caused this change in how we or who we consider for appointment to the Constitutional Court is the fact that for a number of years, the Constitutional Court has been struggling to attract suitable candidates in good numbers. We have had occasions when we wanted to have interviews for one or two positions in the Constitutional Court, but could not proceed because the number of candidates who were suitable was not enough. Presently, we have a vacancy that has been there for a few years, and in April, we didn't attract enough numbers. Previously, we also had problems. So we had to think about what to do in order to change this situation. The Constitution, as you correctly pointed out in your introduction, does not preclude the appointment of somebody who is not a judge, such as a lawyer or an academic, directly to the Constitutional Court without having first been appointed to another court. But over the years, the emphasis has been that more weight would be given to judges who have gone up through the ranks and who bring their vast experience to the highest court in the land. But when one has regard to the fact that the Constitutional Court is a court which is supposed to have constitutional expertise, one of the things that we have considered is that it is important that at any one time there should be enough constitutional expertise in the Constitutional Court. But when you go to the High Court and the Supreme Court of Appeal, surely you will get judges who are familiar with the Constitutional Court, with the Constitution and constitutional law, and who apply it. But it's difficult to get constitutional experts. So if when you are appointed as a judge of the High Court, you were not a constitutional expert, it is unlikely that you will become a constitutional expert while you are at the High Court, because there you do a lot of other matters. Whereas, for example, when you talk about practitioners, there are practitioners who do a lot of constitutional cases and are acknowledged as constitutional law experts while they are practitioners. And indeed, also in terms of academics, professors of constitutional law, there are some who have distinguished themselves, and then they should be considered. Of course, the academics will not have adjudicative experience that judges have, but they will nevertheless bring certain expertise to the Constitutional Court.
Yeah, that certainly makes sense, because if you're coming through the High Court as a judge, you've got so many other matters that you might not just focus on constitutional issues. To come through the ranks to the Concord becomes difficult. It's not unusual that non-judges have been appointed to the Constitutional Court in our country. I understand there's 2 senior practitioners who are going to be coming in, plus a law professor coming in a bit later. There's 3 names that you have considered. How did you select these?
Well, in terms of the practitioners, it is practitioners that, are quite well known, who have been in practice for a long time. So when it comes to practitioners, they appear before us, they appear before various courts, so one knows them. When it comes to academics, some one might know, others one might not know. but what one does is look at their work, what have they been doing, their publications. But also on top of that, one talks to their peers, and see if they are people who are respected by their own peers, see their contribution, their publications, and then take a view about what they can bring to the Constitutional Court.
Yeah, I mean, the circumstances of the appointment might not be ideal from what you've explained, because you need capacity, and it's seen as a positive development. But are you satisfied that the process was fair and transparent enough the way you have managed it?
Well, it might not have been transparent, but it is not different from the way the process we use when we appoint judges from other courts to come and act in our court. So the process is virtually the same in terms of whether one is talking about judges or one is talking about practitioners or academics. But basically, you have to examine and satisfy yourself that they have the requisite experience. You have to satisfy yourself that they are people of integrity. You have to satisfy yourself that in terms of talking to other people, it's people that, are respected by their peers.
Are you satisfied that the incoming 3 non-judges will meet what you've just explained?
I'm satisfied that they will.
Okay. Does this new practice of bringing in non-judges, academics, law professors, and senior legal practitioners directly to the Concord going to become a permanent feature into the future?
Well, excuse me. I think it's going to be there for quite some time. Obviously, I don't know what will happen when I'm not there. But I know that this is something that we have discussed with my own colleagues at the Constitutional Court, and all my colleagues embrace this idea. So my expectation is that it's going to go on for quite some time.
Yeah. Just the question back to judges being available to, say I'm available to go and make myself available, rather, for the Concord. Just want to get your view. Does this not represent a crisis of confidence in the process by the Judicial Service Commission, maybe? I mean, we've witnessed recently how the process happens publicly during some interviews.
Well, one of the reasons which has been advanced by some of the judges when they have been asked to make themselves available is that they were reluctant to make themselves available when they have never had an opportunity to act in the Constitutional Court. This is despite the fact that acting might be beneficial, but it's not an essential requirement, and that has always been the case. There are quite a number of judges and former justices of the Constitutional Court who were appointed without having acted in the Constitutional Court. Indeed, my immediate predecessor was appointed to the Constitutional Court without having acted before. But some prefer to get an opportunity to act and have a feel whether they like the job before they can make themselves available permanently. Others, of course, indicated that they thought that in the past the JSC treated candidates very unfairly, and they did not want to subject themselves to that unfair treatment. That is what some of the judges said. But I'm hoping that everybody does see that there has been a change in how the JSC deals with candidates who appear before it, and that will encourage those who might have been reluctant to say now we can come forward.
Yeah, still on the JSC, Advocate Dalimpo was speaking to my colleague earlier today here, Masiho Rashaga, about the composition of the Judicial Services Commission, saying that members of the JSC are being drawn from the General Council Bar of South Africa, while there are other law societies from where the JSC can draw its members. Do you have a view on that position?
Well, how the JSC is composed is governed by the Constitution. And it specifies the number of people who must come from the National Assembly, the number of people who must come from the NCOP. It specifies also the people who must represent the advocates' profession. It specifies people who must represent the attorney's profession. It specifies that there is a need for representation from law academics. So it's provided for in the Constitution.
But do you think it is inclusive? I mean, the Constitution says that, but is the merit that perhaps if it was broader than just what is specified, it could be seen to be more progressive and inclusive, or you think you are restricted by the Constitution?
Well, I think there is, I think there is diversity in the composition. As I say, you get representatives of attorneys, you get representatives of advocates, you get representatives of politicians, members of parliament and the NCOP, you get representation from law professors. It may be that there may be one or two other sectors, but I consider it to be reasonably representative.
Okay, let's talk about
stakeholders.
Yeah, let's talk about another matter while I have the Chief Justice, which comes up now and again when we talk about our judiciary. There is a shortage of judges. We need more judges,
yes.
And right now, I mean, how are you solving that? Because we know what that means. One of the impacts of the shortage of judges is delays in exercising justice. So people say justice delayed is justice denied.
Yes, no, you are right. We certainly have a shortage of judges. The only way to deal with that is, one, to make sure that there are enough senior practitioners who are ready to make themselves available for appointment to the High Court and other superior courts of first instance, such as the Labour Court, Land Claims Court, and so on. And of course, generally from the judges of the High Court of those superior courts, that there are enough judges who are ready to be appointed to the Supreme Court of Appeal and to the Constitutional Court. But I think what is very important that I've talked about in the past, and many other people have spoken about, is to say it is very important that lawyers be given by government and the private sector enough diverse work, particularly black lawyers and women, diverse work that can give them experience. A lot of lawyers complain that they don't get work that will give them a lot of experience in different branches of law. The public needs to attend to that, and the private sector must come to the party. Government maybe doesn't do enough, but I know that in recent years it is trying. But the private sector also needs to do that. If they need a credible judiciary that is able to serve the interests of everybody, including business in the country, they need to make a contribution at that level as well.
Final question. Money is also an issue. I mean, your budget is set by the Department of Justice and the Correctional Services, Ronald Lamula. Are you asking him for more money?
Well, the issue of budget, one has got to go back to Parliament, and we need more money. But we know that there are challenges, there are many needs and limited resources. We continue to have need for more money and ask Parliament for more money. But we are aware that there are challenges. The economy is not right. But in the end, what is important is that the essential operations of courts must not be adversely affected. And we continue to have need for more money. But as I say, we accept that everybody wants more money, and the economy is not good. But the essential operations must not be adversely affected.
Yeah. Have you asked for more money?
Well, we not recently, but the budgeting processes continue, and we are looking at next year, and we're looking at what we will need. But every year there is budgeting, and of course you never get what you want. You always say you want so much, and you all know every year that you will get less. And of course, what has happened over the years is that the budget, not just of the judiciary, has been cut every year. It's going down, and that has been happening. And
Okay.
And we need more. You know, we need every year we ask for more. Every year we ask for more, but we never get what we want.
And you take what you are given. Thank you very much, Chief Justice. That's Chief Justice Raymond Zondo there, talking to us about a number of issues, but of course about the good news as well, that he's recommending that senior lawyers and academics, senior professors, be considered for appointment directly to the Constitutional Court. Yeah, there is a big shortage of judges in our country, and there's a lot of work that needs to be done. The more this continues, or the longer it continues, justice delayed will be justice denied.